All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast. From still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ, down there in Thomas County Central Country, the Yellow Jackets TCC, one of my favorite logos back in the home state. I like how it all looks. I like the numbers. I'm a big stickler for uniforms and look, and Thomas County Central does a really good job with that. And to talk anything but the logo of Thomas County Central, it's Coach Justin Rogers. Coach, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here. What's it like right now in the football program? Is it pretty dead? Are you getting ready to get started? What is it like for you on March 2nd?
Oh no, we're fast and furious right now. We're kind of hitting the phase 2 part of the off-season program. We finished up January and February, which is a big bulking stage for us. And so now we're still into our lifting 3 days a week, really hammering that and then hitting a lot more speed, agility, change of directions type stuff on our Tuesdays and Thursdays, kind of hitting phase 2, trying to make sure we're in shape when spring football comes around, coming up after spring break. So, in Georgia, football's important. And in South Georgia, it's a little bit more important. So it's never really a downtime. It's just you're doing something different.
How has your phases evolved over the years as a coach? Has it been pretty set in standard since you developed your different phases for the offseason program and then just gearing up for the regular season, or has it evolved a lot in recent years?
I mean, obviously, with everything and anything, it's going to evolve and it's going to organically get to the place it gets through the years and experiences that you have. So we're no different there. Places we've been, trial and error, talking to others and success they've had. We've slowly tweaked things down to where we really like it. Now, I'll say this, how much has it evolved in the last probably 3 years? It's been pretty close, pretty relevant in the last 3 years, pretty tight in the timeline. I really like the timeline we've got and the way that we do things from our January and February to our March and April to obviously when you hit May, which kind of just segues right into your summer, June and July, and then you're right back into preseason and season, August and on into the rest of the season. So we've got it broken down into those areas, and we've kind of got a month by month of what we hope to accomplish. So yeah, it changes, but it's been pretty well. As I've got years experience under my belt, I kind of like where we're at.
What's your favorite week in March, coaching wise?
Favorite week in March? What a question. March is a heavy. I'll say this about March. I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite week. I mean, I know when you get to the week before spring break, you're pretty fired up about a break sometimes. But I'll say this: I think the elite programs and the really good programs that are year in year out, I think they win March. I just think they win March, end of February and March. January, everybody comes back. You're fired up about football. It's a brand new year. You got young guys thinking it's their opportunity to step up. You get back from spring break. Hey, everybody's fired up for spring football. You know what I mean? Hey, spring football, everyone's fired up. Summer, you're doing 7-on-7, OTAs, shoulder pad camps. People are getting up for the competition there, and then obviously hit the season. But that February and March, brother, it ain't nothing but putting the work in. And it ain't no limelight. It ain't no competition. It ain't no going against. And the programs that can really win in those 2 months, I think, really give themselves a huge head start. So I don't have necessarily a favorite week, of March, but I do accept and understand how important this month is, especially because you're getting to go outside so much more too. The weather's finally breaking, right there end of February, it starts to break down here in South Georgia and you get good weather. You just got to deal with the pollen. But you got good weather. You can get in and out, and it's not the cool mornings and stuff like that. So I think the month's really important.
Are you an allergy guy? Does pollen just eat you alive or no?
Now, I grew up in South Alabama too. And so I think just, being around it so much of my life, it didn't really bother me too bad.
What's that
I
first?
will say this, though. As I've got older, I've noticed it bothers me a little bit more.
Really?
I have. I noticed that. But nothing that shuts you down. Just get a little, sniffles sometimes.
As you get older as a coach, though, what have you found kind of irks you more as an older coach than what you first noticed when you were just getting started?
Attention to detail, just by everybody. from the adults involved, to the players, just, making sure that we're focused on the little aspects that really matter. Sometimes we get caught chasing things that don't matter, instead of that. Um, that irks me a lot. Urgency, not having a sense of urgency. And again, I go back to adults and players, understanding how, here we are, in March, January, February is already gone. I mean, we always think we have this illusion of so much time, and then you look up and it'll be August. And so do you have that urgency to get better today? So that irks me, and I'm always working on patience.
Yeah, aren't we all, man?
I'm a more patient person, but if you value urgency and the importance of it, sometimes the counter to that is you lack patience.
Where are you going for spring break? Are you going to be able to get out, or are you staying home?
We don't know where we're going yet. Me and Melissa going to try to do something with the kids. That's what we talked about. It's like we need to do something fun with them. I got a 7-year-old, I got a senior daughter, and I got a 7-year-old little boy and a 4-year-old little girl. So we're going to do something with them. But a lot of times for me, spring break's just catching up on maybe some kind of project around the house. We don't really travel. I think the beach is overrated. Spring break.
All right.
The water's too cold. I think everybody that goes to, I just think it's over. But I got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. They're getting in that water. And if they're getting in it, that means daddy's getting in it. and that water ain't quite ready for what daddy wants. So we'll wait for Memorial Day and go more during the end of May and try to sneak one in, the 1st of April. Let's let that water get a shot. Gulf will warm up pretty quick for you. But
I like it.
Cold then.
Are you a lake guy at least? Because if you're not a beach guy,
I'm a water guy anywhere. Anywhere you can get some water. But obviously, being this close to the Gulf, it's hard to not go down there. I mean, I can be on the beach in 2 hours right here where we're at. So
it's a pretty good deal. I like it. When we're looking at going into next year, Coach, where are you at in spring prep? Like, what position group are you most curious about heading into spring ball and seeing what spring practice looks like? Which position group do you think are you most focused on?
Well, I mean, right now in spring prep, the first question, kind of where we're at in spring prep, we're in our position meetings right now. We've been meeting as a staff of what we want to install and got our days set for what our install schedule is going to be. And so right now the position groups are all meeting individually, making sure in position meetings to get that stuff installed. What position? I mean, obviously we graduated a senior quarterback. That was really good. I don't care what level of football you're at, from 10-year-old football to the pros. You better have a good quarterback. And so anytime you're having to replace a starter with a young guy that doesn't have starting experience, that's always going to be a question mark, So finding that trigger guy. Next for me, probably receivers. We graduated 2 really good ones. I like some of the young guys we have, but there's a lot of route adjustments and things like that we do on our offense that have to be learned. So, in saying that, I guess you would say the passing game, right? You got a lot of questions in our passing game, getting better in that area. I'd say that's the major things right now that we're focused on.
Do you think personnel groupings is going to be pretty different versus what fans saw last year?
Nah, we were an 11 personnel football team and a 12 personnel football team, and we got both those guys coming back. So you got the tight end coming back, you got the fullback, sniffer back coming back. So those guys will be good, and in fact, be part of our strengths. So if anything, it may hang our hat a little more in those personnel groupings. We were in it a lot last year, 11 and 12, but could be in it even more this year because of the experience of those 2 guys.
What was your favorite moment last season? Do you have one? Favorite game? Favorite moment?
It was a lot of them. It was a good year last year. Like I say, it was a good year, a lot of excitement down there. They hadn't had a really good year in a long time here. So there was a lot of moments. Favorite moment, obviously, winning at Thomasville. That's a big one, winning at Thomasville was a very important game for us and getting that done. Winning at Lee, that's a big one. Leesburg's a tough place to play. That's a good thing. And then obviously winning the region championship up there at Northside, another great storied program, in the state of Georgia. So winning that. But we had a lot of good memories, good times last year. But like I say, you put those behind you, move on.
It's interesting you mentioned Lee because that was a close back and forth game for y'all, and really the closest in the regular season. What was it that Lee did that kept it so close and kind of kept you on your heels through 4 quarters?
Shoot, talented as real.
Hmm.
That's one thing they did. I mean, they're good. They're a good football team. Dean Fabrizio does an unbelievable job with them year in, year out. They're never going to have bad years. They're always going to be talented. They're going to be strong. They're going to be fast. And so they're a physical football team. And, yeah, they did what they do. I mean, they're a 3-3 stack defense that brings pressure. I mean, you know that going
Mm.
in. And so you got to limit your negative plays because if they get you in a lot of negatives, they get you in a lot of long yardage situations. And then that running back they got is just dynamic. Biggest thing with him is just making sure he doesn't get it going for a big run. And so we were able to limit the explosive plays on that part where they didn't have many explosive plays. And then offensively, we were able to hit a bunch of explosives because it's hard to drive it 10 plays against them. They're just too good. So, that game was just a back and forth, tough battle. We even had to hit some trick plays on them and held on to win. But Lee, that was a big one because Lee's just so talented year in, year out, and very well coached. Very well coached.
Love Dean. He's got some good energy.
He
Dean's
does,
a fired
man.
up
He's
guy.
great. I mean, it's numbers don't lie. I mean, it is what it is, man. As much as we want to say it, numbers don't lie, and your record's who you are. And so his record represents the good coach and quality coach that he is.
It's always interesting with the high school level, like what coaches have to prepare for, because it's not the same with college and NFL, where you have a pretty good sense what teams are going to be running week in, week out. But for defenses, for y'all's group this year, did you have to change? Like, did you have to change a lot? And scout team is so important, where it's like, hey, we're not going to see a team run this for the rest of the year. Like, we're not going to spend all summer preparing for this because it's going to be a one-time thing. Like, how much of that did you have to evolve week over week based on what you were seeing on the schedule?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, that's the uniqueness of high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get that somewhat at the lower levels, or maybe Division II and FCS a little bit, even
Mm-hmm.
at those levels, where there's just so much variety in the offense. From our second round of the playoffs, we're running a straight, under center triple option offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to a spread run, throw it every time offense, that we've had to face in a Houston County type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a heavy run, 12 personnel too tight in north side offense.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you know that. Then you got Bainbridge, who's now running that Coastal Carolina 3-back triple out of the gun offense. So yeah, that is a unique deal in high school is seeing all that, and then the varieties of defense. Because you're going to get so many different defenses where they're a penetrating defense, where they're getting up the yard, to where they're a sound base defense that's going to just kind of squeeze and scrape, and so you're always preparing for a lot of stuff, at high school because the variety for what people think. I will say this on our schedule this year, I probably didn't have as much variety as I've had in the past, which was good, because we probably only had, I would say, 3 just truly unique offenses. And then the rest of them fell into a 10, 11, 12 personnel-based type package. You could put them in a package like that. So only 3 was that bad this year. And I think you see it more in high school at the smaller single A, double A, triple A, where it's a lot more. As you get up to 6A and 7A in the state of Georgia, it kind of balances out. Everyone's going to have some kind of spread tendency.
Do you think part of that is just because just so many college D1 players involved, where it's like you kind of want to play a scheme that they're going to play at the college level, and you don't want to kind of pigeonhole yourself for these kids because then the other coach can't see it and what
Yeah,
they
I
look
think
like out
so.
there.
I think your measurables, your depth,
Mm.
that what you have, because you're playing with long kids and big kids, so you're accustomed to that. Where at the other ones, maybe you're not playing with the length, so you're trying to do some things to give them angles and leverage, by doing a different offense.
How has like elite 8, elite 7, 7-on-7, that kind of thing changed how you approach spring and summer ball?
Well, again, like I told you a while ago, one of our biggest concerns is quarterback receiver passing game. Well, that's the beauty of the stuff you can do in the summer with the 7-on-7s. You can have simulated experience. It ain't real and it ain't the same, but it's still reading coverages and placing accurate balls. So it's still I call it simulated experience. And so we have 10 practices, and the 10th one's a game. So you really only have 9 practices in the spring. So since in the summer you've got all this 7-on-7, in the spring we're always going to focus on running the football. While we got equipment on, and so we're going to focus on running the football there, knowing we've got the summer to catch up in the pass game.
That's interesting. Player who got better for you last year every month, where you're like, what you remember he came in at in August versus what he left in December. Who do you think made the biggest jump month over month?
Tyler Floyd, he was our slot receiver, no doubt.
Why?
I mean, he was just consistency. I mean, from the day I got here, working with him in January till when he finally left, and he broke the record. He's the all-time leading receiver, single-season receiver in the history of the school.
Wow.
And nobody would have saw that coming. Nobody. And but just day in, day out, just bought into what we were doing, worked tirelessly hard at practice, was a great practice player, and just his production on Friday nights, he'll be tough to replace. But he was a really good slot receiver. Another kid I would be amiss not saying, but he was really good the year before, but really became a leader, which is he was a good player already. Javion Revels, who was our defensive tackle, and just really proud of the leader he became. Not that his play really stepped up, like a Tyler Floyd, but his off the field leadership stuff began to emerge.
For Floyd, is it his release? Is it just his football IQ? Is it what about him makes him so tough for opposing defenses to handle in the slot?
All the above. I mean, he was a very savvy, smart player. He was about 5 foot. I don't know, 5'7", might be kind, maybe 5'8". I mean, just a little short slot. But he was like a water bug. I mean, he was just really quick, and he was fast. Top end speed was good. But his 10, I mean, his quickness and short burst is what made him special. And so you could never get a great hit on him. You could never get a clean hit on him, just the way that he did. And so, and with our quarterback, Sam, doing some things pre-snap with him, we were able to get the ball to him out in space to where he could play, backyard football and be that athlete that he is. So it's all the above. I mean, but without his quickness and his athleticism that he had, he couldn't have used his football IQ, but he had both. That's what made him a complete player.
Can you develop that at all?
Yeah, to an extent, but there's ceilings.
Yeah.
Now, I think you can develop football IQ. Really, I think there's a lot to be said about that. And I think a lot of staffs don't spend enough time developing that. Now, athleticism, like I told you, we're moving to phase 2 now. We're working on a lot of speed and agilities, change of direction, things like that. And obviously, those things can be improved, with any skill development. But I do think, just genetics and human beings, I think there's a ceiling on each person to where that's going to get. I don't think you can just go out there and work overnight and produce a Deion Sanders because you worked hard enough. I do think, genetics do play a part.
When you look at tape heroes, who, like folks who were watching the games from the stands and were supporting y'all, would have missed this guy? Because you can't, he's not in the box score all that much, but he was just someone that you just looked at when you're reviewing tape over the weekend. You're like, man, he's done such a great job for us, and he's such a linchpin, but it doesn't show up in the numbers. Who was that for y'all?
That's a good question. Someone who would never show up much out in the limelight that probably people didn't realize. What a great one. One of our defensive linemen, Ezekiel Bogan. He'll be coming back. Revels was the defensive player of the year in our region. Cam Brooks is a defensive end, is getting all kind of offers from all the SEC teams here now. Zeke was that little silent 3 technique that was freaking good as Rip. Did a dang good job and a good player, and didn't get the credit he deserved because being overshadowed by 2 really, really good players. But he would probably be the one on defense, Ezekiel Bogan. Offensively, I'd probably say Owen Braswell, our center. We had some really good O-linemen and Sauls and Debo Lee that were really good O-linemen, but Braswell just did a phenomenal job at the center position of getting us in the right calls, making sure to push protections and mic calls, and just that football IQ part, right? That you talk about of lining up all 5 O-linemen to make sure they're on poise. Now we're blessed to have both those young men back, so that'll be huge. And now they've got to go from that hidden gym to that public gym now because those people have graduated that kind of took some of their swagger maybe. But they were really good last year for us in a nonchalant, I guess you could say, flamboyant, where everybody saw them way. Good question.
Last thing on the actual football side of things, and we'll wrap up here, Coach. I want to be respectful for your time and get you out of here. But with the Roswell game, I know Coach Chris pretty well, and he that Roswell program's a juggernaut, obviously, in the greater Atlanta area. But when you look at how that game ultimately unfolded for you guys, high scoring, back and forth, was it about what you thought was going to happen in game day prep, where you thought it was going to be a high scoring back and forth, or what was different about the game that you didn't see coming?
I disagree. I thought both teams were going to score. I just thought the offenses were good. Both teams were going to score. I didn't see us running out to the lead we ran out to. I joke with people now and tell them we won 12 and a half games. We just didn't win the second half. That was just one of those weird games where momentum got going. I mean, and we're up 31. We're up 31-13 with 5 minutes left to go in the third.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how that thing came off the rails. Just came off the rails. And some of the greatest kids that worked their tails off. Just some freak plays that happened, that the ball bounced Roswell's way, and they were able to get some momentum going. We had some very untimely drops that could have got drives going to get us back in it. And it was just one of those deals, kind of like you see in basketball sometimes. A team goes on a run, and it's a 4-0 run, 6-0 run, 10-0 run, 12-0, and you look up and you're like, dang, they're on a 16-0 run. And you just can't get a bucket to stop it. And that's kind of what happened in that game. And like you said, Roswell's a great program that would never give up. So hats off to them, and the fact that even down the way they were, they continued to punch him and fight and made those plays. So it was one of those deals where that didn't stick with you for a while because you felt like you let one go on that night. But they definitely earned it, in that second half with the way they went. But momentum, they're still in all of sports, baseball, basketball, hockey, football, soccer, it don't matter. Momentum is huge. And when you get on a rhythm, I mean, even, heck, we can all go out there and play golf on a Saturday. Shoot, you go out there and hit 2 or 3 shots in a row pretty good. All of a sudden, you got a shot for a good round because you're getting a rhythm, right? Momentum going. And so in all aspects of our life, momentum is big. And so momentum really, really hurt us in that second half.
Last thing, and we'll go. Leadership. Is there something you've read? Is there a quote? Is there something that you've thought about more as a leader of just a football team and what you've built over the last several years? Like, what have you expanded, or what have you been drawn to leadership wise that you feel like really has helped you evolve as a leader?
Yeah, I'm big on that now. I'm a reader, by nature. And so I get up early in the morning. I read every morning just to make myself. That bookshelf right behind me just slam full. I got to get a bigger bookshelf. I got them sideways and crammed in every kind of way.
I love that. Oh, I love that, man. I got a whole bookshelf over here. I'm a big reader too.
I'm a reader, so I'm going to read. And so the culture and the leadership piece is all different things taken from various books, that I've read and things. And so we believe in it, but we've narrowed it down to a pyramid of success, is what we do. Our foundation of our pyramid is show up, because, the COVID, I really had to add that, a couple of years back, because COVID really diminished the importance of attendance. You know what I mean? Like, we, as a society, diminished how important it was to actually physically be somewhere. We started doing everything from afar. And we learned a lot of good things from that, like this, being able to Zoom. There was a lot of things really good that we learned, but you still can't diminish how important it is to be physically present with someone. So we're always going to base our stuff on, you got to show up. Then after that, the cornerstone for us is our 4 pillars, which is respect, trust, commitment, and sacrifice. And that's the cornerstone of any relationship. If I'm going to be a good husband, a good father, and if I'm going to be a good son, a good teammate, then I'm going to have respect for one another. I'm going to have to trust one another. I'm going to have to be committed to one another, and I've got to be willing to sacrifice for one another. And then from there, it goes up to our next tier of our pyramid of process, and it takes what it takes. Which process is I control the things I can control in order to attain the things I can't control, right? We hear Nick Saban always talk about process, but ultimately that's what he's saying. Control the things you can control so you can attain the things you can't control. I can't control winning.
Mm.
I can't control the opponent, how good they are, what offense they, but I can control the things I can. So we focus on that. The next thing is it takes what it takes. That was off a book Trevor Moab wrote, which is an excellent book, and hence that's the title. But it's true, and that's when he talked about the illusion of choice. That if you really want to be great at anything, you don't have all these choices. It simply takes what it takes. And so that's our middle tier. And from there, it goes up to toughness and discipline. And so you got to be tough, all right, to be successful in life. And so toughness, what is toughness? All right, I do what's right, not what's easy, right? And that can go in anything in life. But if you're going to be successful, you do those tough things, not necessarily the easy, but the right things. And then discipline, which unfortunately we so many times think discipline negatively, right? But discipline is not negative. Punishment from not being disciplined is negative. But discipline is I do what I say I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's what discipline is. I do what I say I'm going to do. If you say you're going to be lazy as rip, hey, you're disciplined. Be lazy as rip. You know what I mean? At least you did what you said you was going to do. But whatever it is you tweet about and try to tell everybody you're about, be about it, right? And then ultimately the tip top of our pyramid, we have a big graphic that's everywhere with this on there, is win today. And so win today, because that's a lot to do, right? If you're going to show up, if you're going to be respectful, trustworthy, you're going to be committed, you're going to sacrifice for your teammate, you're going to understand and control the things you can control, and you're going to understand it takes what it takes, and you got to be tough, you got to be disciplined. Man, I got to do that for a year, or I got to do that for 6 months. That can be daunting, right? It's a long time to do all those things every day, right? All right, that's tough, but you don't have to. You just got to do it for a day.
Yeah.
You just got to do it for one day. That's it. You got to have a great day today. And so that's what we mean when we say the term win today. And so it all comes back to that tip of the pyramid there. So that's culture in a nutshell. But I think Randy Jackson said it best in his book he wrote. It's a daily fist fight, right?
Yeah.
It's like raising my own children, that I have. It ain't a one-time pep talk. I can't, even with my own personal children, I can't tell them once how to behave and it just stick. So it's daily moments and opportunities to insert lessons and guidance, no different than it is for your own children. It's just parenting. That's all it is.
I love it. Coach, how do the good folks support everything you've got going on with your team this spring and into this summer?
Oh, man, just follow us on Facebook. Find our Facebook page and Twitter page and follow us there and like those pages and just keep up with us. And you'll kind of see, we try to make sure everyone kind of knows what's going on. Man, we're in a great town down here in South Georgia. If you don't know where we're at, we're right here on the Florida line. I'm 30 minutes north of Tallahassee, man.
There you go.
We are right here on the Florida line, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful town. Great people that love ball. And so just follow us there and keep up with us.
There you go. Well, this has been an absolute delight. I appreciate you making the time, Coach. It's great meeting you and talking ball and life and leadership and all that good stuff. I wish you nothing the success this spring, and we'll have to reconnect again before the season gets started this fall.
Sounds great, man. Sounds great. Thank you so much, and thank you for promoting football down here in South Georgia.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.